Former star NFL QB Warren Moon recently came out and said that the homework clause in Kyler Murray's contract was a slap in the face to African Americans, and I'm still perplexed on why he's bringing race into this. Now, he went on to say that black quarterbacks used to be viewed as lazy and not good leaders, and perhaps that was the case back in the day. But this 2022, man, that clause was put in there not because of the color of Kyler Murray's skin. It was put in there because when you're going to make a $200 million investment, you probably want to make sure the preparation is where it needs to be. Now, Kyler is the only player ever to have this specific of a clause in his contract, and one person doesn't make a trend. But we have to stop watering down the term racist. When you use the term so much, it loses validity, and you are actually helping the real racists out there hide in plain sight. And it's amazing how the NFL always gets called racist when almost 3/4 of the league's players are African American. We have the most diverse group of starting quarterbacks the NFL has ever had, and they're getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, Patrick Mahomes getting accused of playing street ball isn't racist either, because he's one of the best at taking advantage of broken plays, and he does take a lot of risks. That's just a fact, and he isn't the only one that does that. So can we please stop acting like we're in the 50s and 60s, because we aren't. You can call the clause stupid, but it isn't racist, and this race baiting BS needs to stop. Like, there's actual racism out there, and we need to call it out when it presents itself. And racism isn't owned by just one race. It can show its ugly head on all sides. So please just cut it out, because it's starting to get ridiculous, and I promise you that this ain't it. Cone, I guess everything is racist nowadays. Like, everything that happens bad to a certain group of people, it's got to be racist. It can't be that you weren't watching enough film. But it's amazing. We don't hear it when it comes down to people talking about Aaron Rodgers off the field, including myself, or Baker Mayfield, or any of this stuff. It's amazing it's never bad then, but oh, it happens to a certain group of people now. All these big bad racists in the NFL. It's a joke, man. You look stupid. Stop doing it.
Deshaun Watson just got paid more money than any player in NFL history in the middle of over 24 sexual misconduct suits. And they sent a former number one white quarterback to a different team.
Wake up.
Meanwhile, the greatest quarterback who's ever lived, supposedly the NFL's poster child in Tom Brady, got suspended 4 games because he liked the footballs a little bit more deflated. Right? This doesn't have anything to do with race. And for Warren Moon to keep looking for dragons to slay really it's disappointing, because I grew up such a fan of him. If Kyler Murray's not watching enough film and the team wants to pay him $230 million and they put that clause in there, it has nothing to do with his race. Now, any quarterback that has that clause in their contract, we were going to talk about it
for
on our
sure.
show. From Trevor Lawrence to Baker. Can you imagine if that clause was in Baker Mayfield's contract?
My God.
The field day we would have had, we would have talked about it. But Warren Moon, if you're only upset when that clause is in a black quarterback's contract and not in a white quarterback's contract, then you're racist, not the organization.
I think you're exactly right. It's the boy who cried wolf. Nowadays, everybody calls everything racist, so the actual racist really can just hide, because, again, you say it all the time, it loses. Again, how can you call the NFL racist? Like, when I looked at the Brian Flores thing, it's like, what are you talking about? If anything, it's right. There's not enough Asian players in the NFL. There's not enough Mexican players in the NFL. Like, it's a joke. Like, you guys got to stop doing this, because, again, it's sad, because I don't think some of these people, and Warren Moon grew up in an era where I believe what he was saying, the way that quarterbacks were looked at in that era. I don't think he's wrong on that. But, dude, this is 2022, man. Like, y'all, you got to stop doing this. Like, you got to, every time, like, the race baiting leaves for a little bit, somebody just brings it back. Shannon Sharp, Kirby Smart's really a racist white guy that doesn't care about the black guys after he uses them for football. Now, all of a sudden, Kyler Murray doesn't watch enough film. You call him out on it, Blaine, and you're a racist.
Well, it's poison.
You're an idiot.
Well, it's poison. That's what it is. And let's think about Kyler Murray, also an Asian American, too. He's half African American, half Asian. You don't hear anything about him being an Asian. You know, not that. Football doesn't care about the color of your skin.
No.
Money doesn't care about the color of your skin. And this is what this is about. It's about money. And this is such a simple, stupid take that it gets to the point where I don't even like coming out and defending it, because it just, you're putting racist rhetoric into something that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
And it is just every day, and it happens more and more and more, and it's tearing apart the game. You don't hear anything about Lamar Jackson's work ethic. You don't hear anything about
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
yeah.
Hell, Jameis Winston. But the littlest thing in a contract, you just can't wait to come out and jump on it because you don't look out of your eyes as a team, as a football being together. You're just trying to pick apart pieces to make yourself feel better or try to be the victim. Quit trying to be a victim in society where you're not the victim. It just makes you look weak. And Kyler Murray's not a weak person, and maybe he needs to watch more film, but it has to get to a standard where this crap is out of the game. Out of the game. Get it out. They don't care about the color of your skin. They care about if you can get the money we're paying you for it to win it's a Super Bowl. To get this done, to stop it. It's so annoying at this point. I can't take it.
The clause, now that I'm thinking about it, the clause was too specific. You know what I mean?
He called it the Kyler clause.
You're not going to get credit for the amount of film you watch if you have video games and TV on at the same time, which means there's some data that you're leaning on. It's too specific. To be honest, when I said that we would have hammered anybody any quarterback in the NFL who had this clause, now that I'm talking about Russell Wilson, who is a black quarterback, he's the only one. Russell Wilson is one of the only quarterbacks, or maybe Tom Brady, where if this clause were in their contract, I would have said, okay, maybe it is just an organizational thing, because there's no way Russell Wilson's not watching enough film.
No, yeah, and again, I don't want to stay on this too long. I want to move past it because it's so stupid, but it has to be called out. Stupidity has to be called out. But again, we'll have people in these YouTube comments and say, oh, 3 white guys talking about racism. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, guess what? Racism isn't owned by one race, dumbass. Like, the people who think that are the stupidest people alive. And I'll tell you that to your face. You go all through history. You've had people being racist against other people of all colors. I could sit here and say, oh, I can play this game. Like I said earlier, the NFL has 75% African-American players. They must be racist toward white people. That must be, it couldn't be that that's just how it is because those are the best players that are out there in the situation. Like, it is such a joke and it's so laughable. And Warren Moon, now I have to consider you a stupid person or a race baiter because if you're smart and you said this, then you're an absolute race hustler and it's disgusting. Maybe you're as irrelevant as not winning Super Bowls, I guess, but I guess you get pissed off about that. Maybe he wants to be Kyler Murray. I don't know. Hey, everybody, if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and ring that bell. We're excited to be here. It's Crain and Company live 2 to 3 Central daily. Ring that bell. I want to hear it from coast to coast.